Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining me, as always, Xavier Guerrero and Johnny Woodard, live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver studio. That's right, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Go to SamTripoli.gold, use the promo code Tinfoil and get in on the action, okay? Get in on a precious metals sent right to your house for as little as $50 a month. And then real quick, go to SamTripoli.com, check out the dates. Morris Plains on the 21st and the 22nd at the Dojo of Comedy for Eddie Bravo, Xavier Guerrero. Then the following night, we're in Broadbrook on the 22nd. I love that comedy club. The Broadbrook Opera House is one of the most gorgeous venues we've ever played. And then finally, Kansas City at the Comedy Club. All right, let's get into it. We got, the last American Vagabond, Ryan Cristian, joining us. Let's get into it. This is a great episode. All right, let's get into it. He's been on the show before. He always crushes it, and we're glad to have him back. He's one of the they always say, like, journalism's dead. I say no, journalism just went super indie, and he's one of the best out there. I'm very excited to have him back. Please welcome, from the last American Vagabond, Ryan Cristian. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the intro.
Every time, all the time, anytime. We appreciate you coming on the show and slumming with us. This Dick Joe comedy show we got over here. But I'm very happy to have you on. You're an important voice in it, and I'm glad that you are out there spreading the word. Now, for those who may not be familiar with you, Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you?
Just thelast.americanvagabond.com is our website. That's the best place to find out all the work, all the different writers from Whitney Webb, Derek Rose, Robert N. Lakesh, Matt Arrett, and a lot of other great content coming out there. And all of our different social media accounts, if we're not being censored that day, usually under TLA Vagabond. But I'm honored to be back with you, brother. I always love our conversations. When I started in this such a long time ago, I think for a lot of people in this journey, it always seems to start with what people deem conspiracy theory. So that's I always am fascinated by the overlap. And in my experience, some of the biggest, most taboo conspiracy theories are where some of the biggest truths are, and I think that rings true to this very day.
Yeah, people call us the weirdos. The conspiracy theorists are the weirdos. But I think today, after everything that's happened in this world, the people who aren't conspiracy theorists are the real weirdos.
Yeah. Right? I think they're thinking that too.
They're like, oh, well, I don't know anything about that. I go, wow, that's really weird that you don't know anything about
that. I'll ask someone, you've gone deep down the rabbit hole of like anything, right? Like anything, Bigfoot. And if you say no, I'm like, what? You've never found one theory.
There's got to be something like Britney Spears or something that you've like, there's something that doesn't make sense.
JFK at the very least.
Yeah.
That's like the entry
level.
But
I just don't think there are just people that's just not their thing, but when it's just not their skill set, but that means they're a weirdo.
Yeah, how do you not have gleaned something of these topics? Like, what it shows me is that they're terrified to even, maybe they do and they just don't want to admit it, or they just have been terrified, they just stay away from it. And that just shows like they're being mind controlled, essentially.
100%. What it does come down is this, even we've learned with like punk rock, there's so much of it is conformity now. Right? They rage against the old Christian values, let's say, which there was a time when that the conservative right was the oppressors, and you couldn't have interracial dating. Hey, there'll be no interracial dating at this day. Whatever it was. There's no gays, there's no this, no those that, and that was who a lot of these, especially older rockers, raged against. But now that the spectrum has changed so much, some of them cannot adapt that the censorship is coming from the left now. Not that there isn't right, but it's like the left is doing most of the censorship, right?
Well, what's so interesting about that? I mean, I agree, but I'm starting to pick up. But one thing I've been talking about for a long time is the whole teeter-totter of the two-party paradigm, which is exactly what you're highlighting. That the boogeyman seems to kind of oscillate between the left. We used to, the evangelical right and the sane left, at least the way they frame it.
Right.
And then it became the woke left and the crazy and the right, which during COVID, it's objectively clear that the right, in my opinion, was much more aware of the bigger story there.
Yes.
But there's always missing something. Today, I'm starting to see it oscillate back the other way with the Israel conversation, where you've got the same people that were 30 seconds ago being called anti-Semites and racist and Nazis because they were trucker convoys.
Yeah.
And those on the right are now calling people racist because the left's out voting, protesting for Israel or anti-Semites. Right. It's like, have some self-awareness there. They're doing the same thing. It's crazy.
Eventually, they all just touch dicks. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's just the truth. And it just starts getting weirder and weirder. And then it's like, now with this abortion issue, and it's like, oh my God, they're trying to take away abortion. Then you look at like Arizona, and it's like, that's a purple but a blue state. It might be purple. So now what are you doing? It's a Democratic governor and a Democratic Supreme Court. Like, there's no rules anymore. And people can't, like Jon Stewart can't survive in this era in which there is no set good guys, bad guys. When there was a set bad guy, he thrived because he could just look how crazy they are. Yeah. Now that the other side, Hillary Clinton just shish kebabbed all of it, dog. Yeah. She just ruined it all.
Same with late night TV too. That's another reason they're dying, because they can't
like
so
dude,
much easier when they have Bush.
Just imagine if we were in a proper reality. Like, they would be teeing off on Joe Biden right now.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Saturday Night Live would be murdering this motherfucker.
Did you see him get stuck on stage the other day? Like, he couldn't figure out how to get off the stage, and he was like, robot doesn't know how to compute stairs.
How about
when the Juneteenth one?
Yes.
Yeah, that is weird, man. Bizarre. I was just talking about that. Like, it may not be as outstanding as some of the other ones, but like I was saying this on the show, for those that have been around like the whole dementia side of this and seen the signs, I mean, to me, that was like a cry for help. He's like, I don't know where I am.
Yes.
He's like smiling. It was uncomfortable. That was crazy.
The best tweet I saw, by the way, he like a Roomba stuck on the stage.
Well, the crazy thing was when he was with Macron. Is that his name? Macron.
Yeah.
And then his trans wife, and they were, and then he just turns around, dude, and then everyone's like, oh no.
That's right.
Let's just turn with him and look this way now. And they all just turned and started looking that way just to like, hey, vamp for him, dude.
Did you see him at that concert where everybody else was kind of, dancing to the music, and he was like this?
Yeah.
And then he went to like lift his hand, and the other guy was turned into a fist pound for him.
That's Juneteenth as well. Yeah.
I think I found that one. Yeah, he's just standing there, right? Is it this one? Everyone's like having a great time.
This is it. Watch. And he kind of, it's so strange. Look at his arms. His arms are just locked.
Yeah, it goes on for like 30 seconds.
It's got to be weird to be like trans and have a gray beard. That's just a weird look.
It's almost like he's being remote piloted by someone.
Yeah. Well, he's so shish kebab.
Watch
shish
until his arm comes up and this guy turns into a fist pound. It's so funny.
That is, I mean, look how long that goes on.
Oh,
like,
no,
it's
they
not
cut.
normal.
Wow, they cut
no, it's
out.
fine. But so like this is like I always go, once you think you've gotten to the middle of the rotten onion, I guarantee you there's just more layers going on. So it's like, oh, it's this dementia, guys. Like, is there a part of you, Ryan, that goes, this is all a demoralization campaign? Like I am so into this that everything, it's so much pressure from above, pressure from below, that they just are begging us to beg them to save us with martial law. They want martial law. That's what they want. Once the martial law comes in and domestic terrorism, now the Constitution's null and void, and they can just go fucking nuts. There's no part of this that makes me think this is happening naturally. This is all meant to destroy. First of all, let me get your thoughts on that. I'm just talking, but what's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. And the only way to look at that is in a bigger way, which is the whole like globalization side of it. Great Reset, World Economic Forum, but it's really the same point, right? Where I often point to Corbett's work on this, the engineered fall of the West kind of a conversation, where you have these like supranational entities that a lot of people argue are really the ones pulling a lot of strings in world government scenarios, or even, U.S., France, whatever else. And that, we're in a position now where the U.S. has lost their position, the clout, the influence, and so they're shifting something else. They don't care what the power structure, as long as they have the control. And so that's kind of the idea. Maybe they're putting Bidens and Trumps in front of us, so we call for something different. We ask for the Great Reset. They ask for our own enslavement. I think that's a huge part of this that we should at least consider.
I love that. I've been really in this thing right now on Twitter because there's a part of the right that's trying to convince everybody that Hitler was a good guy. Like there's this way, like he's just fighting the bankers, man. He's just out there. This is what they won't tell you about Hitler. And I'm like, well, then again, why did he go into Switzerland? Why didn't he take out the Bank of International Settlements, which was completely made to get reparations from Germany for World War I? Explain that to me. Explain to me why the head of the Federal Reserve of the New York Federal Reserve was on the American IG board, which helped build the German military apparatus back up. Tell me that. If he's fighting the bankers, why is he working with the bankers? And then nobody ever has an answer. Go on. Sorry, Ryan.
No, it's exactly. There's so many examples you could show that completely just annihilate that narrative. What I think is happening is that we're seeing this. I argue there's some of the right, not all conservatives, but when I say the right, I mean like the two-party illusion, top of the right kind of conversation. Yeah. That are pushing this. Some of them may not even realize where that's coming from. But I argue this is a direct Zionist manipulation that is trying to create the sentiment that they need to justify their existence. And this gets into the whole Zionism using Judaism as a kind of a buffer to manipulate the world, which a lot of Jews are calling out right now. But that, to me, is about trying to create the idea that when they point at someone like me, who is simply going, I'm not talking about Jews or Christians or Muslims or Arabs. I'm just talking about what the Zionist government is doing to children or killing them over here or occupying this. And the point is they then try to conflate that with, Ryan says Hitler's a good guy. And I'm like, that's crazy. But that's what they want, right?
Yes.
To conflate those conversations.
Yes, Ryan. Totally. 100%. And like, whatever you, the listeners here, thought about the Adam Green interview, I got a lot from it. We don't necessarily agree on everything. I'm a spiritual guy, and we have different views on Jesus, and that's okay. But this isn't a show just to talk to people I agree with. Let's hear every side of the story. But man, when he brought up that like all of the Abrahamic religions are basically working to basically elevate Zionism and elevate the Zionist apocalypse that these really old dirtbags are all like trying to push on us because they know they only got a couple days left. They're like, let's go. Come on. I've been doing this for 80 years. When's this thing going to pop off? I don't have much longer. And he's totally 100% correct in that. They're all working. Each one of them, Islam and Christianity play their role as well. As I was talking to Johnny, I forget what show it was on, but it's like a roller derby meme, right? When roller derby and they're they have this play where they like kind of form a wall and they slingshot to score. That's the Abrahamic religions. It's like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and then they're just slinging Zionism to score. And he's totally right about that. They're all working together because each one of them has their own belief on what this is going to happen once they get to this Zionist apocalypse. And they don't understand. They act like they're fighting with each other, but they're all playing a part of a war, playing a game in this,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up. I had a great interview with Adam as well about this exact topic, and I'm with you on this. Like, and this was actually a point that I really appreciated because I also appreciate that Adam he's not being, at least I didn't see in your interview with him, but he wasn't being forceful about it. We're able to disagree amicably, which I respect him for. And I'm a Christian, right? And we had this whole conversation about it.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is I disagree with organized religion. Each their own, but I think there's a big difference there when you're talking about these organized religions, especially when you get to like the megachurch level. In any of these religions, I think there's a problem there. And so what I think he's highlighting is that element of it. There's always been a level of manipulation. But I come back to the point where I'm a Christian. I believe in my beliefs under that structure outside of organized religion. And I believe that in any element, Judaism, Islam, Muslim, whatever, that there are people that simply believe in these ideals and that they act in with good faith, and which usually means not killing people for no reason, not destabilizing countries. And yet you have these power structures that are abusing these and have far back as you can look. I think you and I even talked about this, the going back to the Catholic Church and the history of it's just power structures. I mean, families would put their second sons to be cardinals, and that's not because they're religious. It's because there was power, And yes, there was a level of of religion involved in that. And so when he gets into the idea that, all three of them are at their core not what they seem, I disagree with that to an extent. But I agree that there is what he's talking about. So they can both exist simultaneously.
Yes,
I don't know if he agrees with that, but I think that's what we're dealing with. In Zionism, I even had overlapping this conversation with what I talked about with David Icke, going back to Sabbateanism, which we brought up in that interview as well, which a lot of people argue is like the foundation for all three of communism, Zionism, and Nazism.
Yes.
And the core point is about Sabbateanism was about like infiltrating religions and politics. And I'm like, my God, look at when he said that to me, it just like blew my mind. It's like, that's what we're seeing right now.
Yes.
And we point at that and they say, you hate Jewish people.
Yes.
It's like, where's that even coming from? It's crazy.
Yes, dude. Yes. You nailed it. That's the best shit I've heard in a long time. You've really crystallized what I've been thinking. And, I have a good friend of mine, and she's like killing it on the internet. And we had a conversation, and, she has some strong opinion about Jews. And because, I'll say this. My whole opinion is everybody on the internet should be treated like white people were on Twitter in like 2018, 2019, where you can just tee off. Like, if you pull some shit, you get teed off on. Okay? That's my opinion. We talked about the Ari Shaffir and Howie Mandel clip, and how Ari's like, I don't see it that much, and he's like, they're coming after us, and I go, well, I mean, welcome to the internet in 2024, man. Now there's no sacred cow, there's no sacred cows, there's no protected classes anymore, as it should be. If something bad happened to you in the past, that sucks. It does not shield you from criticism, and that's where we are right now. So I'm like, everybody should be treated the way white people were on Twitter in 2018. Tee off, bro. Blacks, gays, women, men, trans, everybody. You do something stupid, you get to get called out on it. That's my opinion, and I'll defend that to the end of the days. Okay, I'll defend it.
And this is absolute free speech. That's what it actually means. Or just, there doesn't need to be absolute there. It's what free speech means. This game they play where there's like limits to it, that's not free speech. But there's another point to add to that, which I'm sure you agree with, is that the idea being that anybody should be protected in what they want to say. You can go out there and say the most racist, disgusting slurs you want. That's your right to free speech. We have a right to say you're a disgusting person. And we as a society can say you shouldn't even be a part of us. But they have a right to say it, right? And the point of these platforms should be able to allow people to say what they want. The game they play where your statements, no matter how disgusting, translate to violence is irrational. Now, obviously, each person is responsible for their own actions. So if you say something and you're influenced to the top and you go out and that's that person's choice, But the problem is, like, to take Howie Mandel's point there, that they perceive this, and I'm not talking about just Jewish people, I'm talking about anybody that argues right now that Jewish people have some outsized attack, like the way they describe it as this dark looming cloud of anti-Semitism, while you can literally prove, and I'm talking, and I've done this exclusively, or extensively, I should say, on the show, where you can prove that most of these big statements they've made, or the big claims, or the woman stabbed in the eye, or marching through saying we'll kill the Jews in these schools, they proved them not to be true. Yes. The cop came out in Congress and said that didn't happen. I was there. We investigated. It wasn't real. Woman stabbed in the eye. She made the whole thing up, and it was like brushed by her face, and she didn't even have a blemish. My point is not to say there's not anti-Semitism. There's racism. That's clear. But there's a very clear manipulation, and I argue there's the Zionist manipulation we were just discussing.
Yes.
But the wiping it away as if it doesn't exist is also the problem. And I think that's where that side comes in, where you get these propagandists online, either pretending, and it's some bot Hasbara thing, or just people that don't know what they're talking about, are pushing this idea that conflate genuine criticism with racism. And I think this is not just about free speech, it's about suppressing genuine investigation.
Yes.
Right? We should be able to look at what these people are saying and doing, especially as they're committing genocide. it seems pretty obvious to me. And I'm talking about Israeli government, not anything else.
100%, dude. And it's I say this all the time, dude. If you're telling me anti-Semitism is on the rise, and it's very on a lot of podcasts, you hear people say that because it's safe, right? And the power players that control money in the content creating universe love hearing that shit. Right. So anti-Semitism on the rise everywhere. I go, can you discern between hatred of Jews and criticism of Netanyahu, the Likud, or however you pronounce that party, and the Likud. I call it the Likud party, but Likud and the IDF. Can you separate the criticism? Because you're not right now. Because the truth is that they must, at all costs, make criticism of Jews a felony. Okay, literally a felony. Because once that firewall is gone, now you're getting to the real power source on so many levels. Right?
Well, so on one side of it, too, though, you're talking about, like what we just said, you should have every right to be able to say what you want about Jews or Christians or whatever else. But to your point, you're absolutely conflating criticism of government actions with an entire religion, not a race, not an ethnicity, because that's also a manipulation. That's Israeli, not Jewish, right? But the point is that also with Palestine, people saying free Palestine are being called anti-Semites. It's like, how do you even get from 1 to 2 there? That doesn't even make sense unless you, I mean, the point is, somebody out there could say free Palestine and be thinking, yeah, I hate Jewish people. That's always possible. But for them to just make that leap, or, things like From the River to the Sea or these games that they play, always possible. But to your point, you conflate those things. All you're truly doing is making anti-Semitism more likely. You're driving people to feel resentment towards the group that you're pointing to, not us, right? And that's manufactured to me. And people, like for the ADL's point, this is important. Whether we're talking about any number of these things, they've conflated, or January 6th was the point that I was going to bring up as well, where they conflate everything that's there, right? So a grandma on her phone, we just investigated her, that goes as domestic terrorism, right? The ADL investigates all these people saying free Palestine, and every investigation goes down as anti-Semitism. So they go 400% spike in anti-Semitism. That's where that statement comes from. That's what it stems all the way back to, and most of those people are Jewish. These Jewish Voices for Peace or Holocaust survivors that are there with these protests, and they're calling them all anti-Semites. It's very organized and concerning.
And again, it is this game of manifestation where they're just manifesting you associating people wanting to stop slaughter with terrorists. That's the whole emotional manipulation. And for me, man, as you study history, right, the Bolsheviks, they show up in different forms all the time, but their whole job is to destroy within. They go into countries in which no other country could invade, or else they'll get their dicks kicked in. And we saw it with the Bolsheviks in Russia. We saw it in China, okay? Dude, 100%, everybody, the Nazis were the Bolsheviks of Germany, okay? You just had to play the game differently, okay? You can't run the same playbook against every single team. You just can't do it. So you had to conflate it in it. You had to attack. It's not conflate, but you had to attack in a different way, okay?
And let's kick this up a gear here, a notch here, because the point to make there is that the Zionist element during the World War II. You could look this up on Wikipedia, for crying out loud. They tried to align themselves with Nazi Germany.
Yes.
This is Dan Cohen makes this point more than once on his research, that they did so, and again, easy to verify, well past this final solution. So explain for me out there how you could argue the state of Israel as a Zionist state was created to defend against that, while at the time they were working alongside the entity to create what they wanted. And even the CIA has documents where, and I've done our shows on this directly from CIA.gov, that says that the Zionist entity was willing to sacrifice all the Jews in the Arab countries to get what they wanted there. That doesn't sound like anything that gets described today. So it's a lot of this part. Go ahead.
No, 100. Go on. I'm sorry. I was yelling at you in agreement.
That was basically it. I didn't want to miss your point.
No, I study Nazi. We go here. We study Nazi and Zionist Germans, and they had literally deal. They had an agreement. It was the HAAVARA agreement. I forget. I can't pronounce it. Havara agreement. And it literally was agreement between the Nazis and the Zionist Germans, German Zionists, that they would make a deal to get all these Zionists from Germany to Israel if they agreed to buy German goods doing it. There's an agreement right there. Nobody ever tells you that. Nobody ever tells you that, dude. Nobody ever tells you that. Now, here's the thing. You have Alan Dershowitz, who, I don't know if you saw his debate with Greenwald. Did you ever see that? Were you able to see that debate?
I saw some important clips of it and the whole thing.
It's the best.
Greenwald just rip them apart, which is good.
Alan Dershowitz came out as gay after that debate because he got penetrated by Greenwald over and over again, dog. Just completely fucked up. So, but you know, the whole narrative that Alan Dershowitz has, because he's 80. And it worked back in the day, which was yelling Nazis all the time. We should have stopped the Nazis. I wish someone would go, hey, Alan, if there's no Nazis, is there Israel? And the answer is no. There's no Israel without Nazis. So if we stop the Nazis, there's no Israel. They go hand in hand. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. If you're paying attention, you know that the de-dollarization is real. Fiat is fake, and you don't want to be left holding the bag when the dollar collapses. Gold and silver have been money through all of recorded history and are an excellent way to protect yourself from inflation and geopolitical turmoil. That's why I trust my friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver for all things precious metals. Veteran owned and A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. No transaction too big or too small. You can even roll your over your 401k and IRA into physical gold and silver. And if you think you can't afford precious metals, think again. With the Wolfpack monthly membership program, you can get gold and silver delivered to your door for as little as $50 a month. With Wise Wolf Gold and Silver also deals in and accepts Bitcoin. Bang, bang, pow. Just go to SamTripoli.gold, promo code tinfoil at checkout to receive a free constitutional silver. And remember, in a world of bulls and bears, okay, be the wolf. All right, guys, real quick, we'll get back at it, but I just want to go to SamTripoli.com. Next weekend, I am going to be in Morris Plains on the 20th. I'm going to be at Morris Plains on the 21st and 22nd with Eddie Bravo, Xavier Guerrero. That's 3 shows in 2 nights. Then Broadbrook, I'm going to be on the 27th. Again, Eddie Bravo, XG. And then finally going back to Kansas City at the Comedy Club, one of my favorite clubs to play and one of my favorite, Kansas City, underrated comedy city. So go check that out. Go to SamTripoli.com events. Let's get back into it real quick. So it's like history is a giant lie, dude.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I love. That you guys talk about. It's just that even whether it's forgotten histories or just completely misrepresented history. But the Lehi party and the Irgun party are the 2 kind of foundational elements that we're talking about. That are they're the Zionist organization, right? The Lehi party is they even kind of distanced themselves from it at the beginning, the Zionist organization, because it was they were calling themselves terrorists at the time. That's what they called their own people. The point is that they acted like it was bad, because I think even then, even Israelis at the time, even I think before it was Israel and after, made comments about this, like we shouldn't be treating the Palestinians like this, and so they distanced themselves from it. But now my point is that it's still so prevalent that they came back around and they now praise the Lehi party. They have a Lehi pin that they give people for nominations. It's so obvious that they embrace that history, but don't want anyone to talk about it. They have laws in Israel that don't even allow them to discuss, whether it's media or anything else, discuss things around like the Nakba or things that will make them look like what they claim they're not. Of course. Think about how crazy that is. That you have a stated policy that you're not allowed to highlight things that are true because it exposes our lie. That's a policy that they have. And yet we don't talk about this in the U.S. conversation. It's crazy to me.
No, the craziest was they don't allow DNA tests.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Too. You're not legally allowed in Israel without a court order to get a DNA test. I just downloaded something about that exact point, and I don't think I have it right yet. It's absolutely insanity, dude. It's absolutely insane.
There's a video that went semi-viral. The guy went out and basically did one of these tests, right? And he's like, I believe I'm 99% Ashkenazi Jew, and I'm definitely from Israel. And they did the whole thing, and it came back 99% European. And there's a reason that they don't like that overlap, because the inside conversation is that the Ashkenazi Jew, that's like the real Jew, right? In the minds of the Zionist elements, right? And so there's a problem the way that they, like, ask the Ethiopian Jews in Israel how they're treated, right? Even Haaretz will say that they're treated as second-class citizens. So there's a very clear divide between certain elements of this. So that's so important to me. And weirdly enough, if we want to get into the weird overlaps here, this could be nothing. But during COVID-19, and this is RFK Jr. got screamed at by the Israeli conversation because he pointed this out, is that there was a study, and it's a peer-reviewed study, it's very prominent, that highlighted that the two elements that were least affected by the COVID-19 element, assuming we believe that's even real, were Ashkenazi Jew and Amish. And it was only because the ACE2 receptor was different. Basically, they just were least affected by it. And I'm like, well, that's pretty interesting, especially when you overlap that with the Israel working with South Africa for specifically ethnic-focused weapons, which is very public. It's an easy conversation to look up. So it makes you wonder about that overlap, which just something to consider.
No. Could it be a coincidence? No. Obviously not, right?
Yeah, well, dude, it's crazy. Just unbelievable. And then you can go so deep into this. I know, again, Adam Green doesn't believe in Khazarians and all that stuff. I think there is something to that, and which is fine. It's great, you know. And you get into trade routes and why Israel. You hear a lot of people talk about how is it the Holy Land? I don't know. I know it's the birthplace of a lot of religions and all that stuff. But like it's a trade route, bro. It's a trade route. It is the quickest way to get goods from Africa and Asia to Europe. And if you control that, that's money and power.
And Gaza historically was a massive trade route. That specific location was super important, and maybe one of the reasons why it's occupied now. But at the very least, we can't let them have that kind of power. We can't let them have their own ports and that kind of engagement. It's interesting.
Yeah, 100%. You're controlling because right now you have to use the Egyptian Canal to go get, and it only goes one way for like 12 hours, then goes another way it's slow, but it makes Egypt $8 billion a year. And that's why they don't want the Palestinians, because they know once the Palestinians leave Gaza, they're never going back. So now that no one will take them, because everyone knows, because everyone believes there's a debate whether it's Holy Land, but that is the center of so many of these religions. Okay. Let me preface it. I said that wrong. People debate where Israel actually is. Okay. Where the actual place is. And I'm sorry, the Congress of Zionism or whatever it was with the guy who founded Zionism, they were debating 3 different places to put Israel. One was in Africa, one was where it is now, and one was in Texas.
No.
They were thinking about putting Israel. You want to write a TV show? Write that. What happens if Israel showed up right in the middle of San Antonio, dude?
That's fascinating, actually. If somebody wanted to of course, today it might be more possible. Before it would have never been allowed, but make like a hypothetical series or movie about how had the Zionists chose Texas and how that would have gone forward. How sort of like a Man in the Tower series, that whole Nazi thing. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. But they chose there, and I think it's because it's a trade route, and that's why nobody wants the Palestinians, because they know they're going to give up all the Temple Mount, all that stuff that is so big in Islam. They're going to give that right up, and that will be gone. And then then the third temple, and then craziness. Yeah. So
that's wild.
I want to get into October 7th for you. I feel like we had the releasing of these hostages. It could have been done quick, easy, but of course Israel picks to kill 200 people. Women and children. And nobody's saying anything about that. All the people that march for BLM are really, a lot of them are silent. I know that. When I'm talking about Hollywood. When we watch the roast of Tom Brady and Tony Hinchcliffe does a joke about how Jeffrey Ross likes. Jeffrey Ross is so Jewish. His favorite part of the football game is the coin flip. And he loves when they throw deep bombs at brown people, and the whole place got quiet. Do you hear that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No, all the BLM people in Hollywood now are okay with people getting slaughtered. Children, dude, children getting slaughtered. But we get into the October 7th, and I went on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, and he's a Zionist, and I like him, but I go, hey, dude, how come they moved the festival like 24 hours closer to the border? Why did they short an Israeli ETF? Well, this, and this. What are your whole thoughts?
Oh, well, I mean, man, there's 45 different angles to get into around how obvious there's something that went on that day. I mean, whether it's the foreknowledge, and it goes back months, not just Egypt and different things that happened within a few weeks, but I mean, there were examples of their own people on their different posts trying to inform their commanders about how they saw the training, they're getting ready, and they said, if you bring this up again, we'll put you in jail. That's literally that. I think that was Haaretz that reported that, and we saw the foreign countries that were saying, this is happening, it's coming. For that first point, my opinion is ultimately the thing that makes the most sense, actually, is that there's elements of their government that absolutely allowed this to happen for whatever reason, whether it's prophecies, whether it's manufacturing more reason to justify their existence. But I think that there's at least some element there that makes me think that some of them might not have been, but it's just as likely that this was completely allowed. I mean, there's also, I guess, one of the people argue that it was just that they are not as good at what they do as they pretend to be. That's also certainly possible. But after that, I mean, there's so many elements to this that are so wildly ignored by the establishment, as the Hannibal Directive example, where we have now, I mean, tank drivers, helicopter pilots, the security heads of the kibbutz Be'eri himself said that we saw them shoot their own people. We saw Yasmin Porat, who's been one of the most recognized figures in all this, who is an Israeli Jew herself from the kibbutz, who said she was in the building. She came out, she watched them bomb people in there. We have hostages coming back saying that they shot at people while they were being rescued on their way back to Gaza. Then they came back and they said that they were bombing them while they were there. They were most scared of Israeli bombings. You've seen them shoot in cold blood their own hostages. 3 of them that came out waving a sign saying "Save us," and they shoot 2 of them. One runs away. 15 minutes later, and this is reported by Haaretz, they're coaxing him back out. He's saying, I'm saying things in Hebrew. Don't shoot me. They call him back out. 2 of them shoot him dead. That's the 3 hostages they killed. I just don't know how in the world you can watch that story. And this was Haaretz reported this, that you don't see an element of, we don't want them to come home. For those that don't know the Hannibal Directive, public and verifiable reality. It comes from I think it was I don't know if it was a general, high-ranking Israeli official who was taken. And it cost them dearly, both in their reputation, and they had to send a whole bunch of people back that they had, illegally detained to get this person back. And so they decided, look, in the future, if this happens, we kill them, all of them, to save ourselves all of this problem. And they, I guess, rationalized that's better for Israel people. And so when this happened, there's a colonel from Israel who on the record said this was a mass Hannibal. It's very, the Cradle did a great article about it. He's on record. And you can see that they're ordering to shoot people as they leave, or at the very least, they said shoot anything that's moving, whether or not there might be civilians. And there's actually calls on the record from the radios where they're going, well, there might be civilians there, and they tell them to fire anyway. So there's very clear overlaps that show you something's very wrong about this. I mean, there's so many levels to what could have happened around October 7th. Efrat Fangenson, who is an Israeli Jew who's been talking about this from the beginning, she has said this was an operation, like false flag level, like to the point of where it's like a lie hop, like let it happen on purpose kind of a thing. And I think it makes the most sense. But either way, now going forward, it's explicit. I think it's obvious they do not want people to come back. That's my opinion. But every time they get these hostages back, they come back and say they were treated well, they were fed. Obviously they're kidnapped, and I'm not downplaying that, especially the ones that aren't military targets, whether IDF or police, just like the children that were taken, for example, or the younger ones. Those are crimes. But my point is that they're kidnapped. That's terrifying in its own right. But they come back, and some of them look like they gained weight. And this is not my opinion. It's very clear. And they've been saying that they treated them well. They let them go shopping. I mean, how crazy is that? Then you look at the Palestinians coming back at the Israeli prisons, 100%. And they're emaciated. They've lost limbs.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I made a joke, and Dana's like, too soon, but I'm like, they look like they all got back from fat camp. That's what they look like they got back from. Like, they're just like, oh, it was so hard. They did, they made us work out and all this stuff. And it did look like it was a bad hostage situation. And, I'm really glad you bring it up, Ryan, because, for me, it's like, I'm really in this place right now where when I take a look at the Holocaust and I go, what happened there? This is Sam speaking, not Ryan. He could jump in if he wants. He doesn't have to. But, for me, it's like, I think they just took out the Orthodox. I think the people who were anti setting up Israel because it's stuff within the holy books say that it's not supposed to happen. They just took them all out and got rid of them, and that's my opinion. I'll stand behind it.
We're talking about October 7th. You're talking about
the Holocaust. What I'm saying is the Holocaust. But the reason I bring this up is because they'll sacrifice their own. That's what people don't understand. Like, if you take a look at 9/11, it's not even just like Zionists. It's just like anybody in power. Right. They have zero problems with taking out their owns if it's a means to an end. So,
100%.
And it's just like, if you go, these people were behind 9/11, you have people go, there were these people in there. Why would America do that? Why would Israel do that? Dude, they have no problem with taking out their own. If it leads to bigger, if let's say there was a time where there was no internet and everyone didn't have a phone on their with a camera, and we didn't know anything that was going on there, the story would be Hamas killed all these people. Right. It wouldn't be the IDF did it. It wouldn't be any of that directive. It would be the Hamas did it, and all of Israel would have lost their mind. All of the Jews around the world would have lost their mind, and they would be so mad at the Palestinians. But now, because of phones and just hard work of people who literally sacrifice their life, are like, no, dude, this was the IDF just pulling a Hannibal directive, man, and just killing everybody. I mean, there's a history of it.
But it's important to point out the kind of independent media side of this, which is clearly why they're so desperately trying to censor and shut down platforms, because there's a way around what they're trying to do now. But, I also want to point out, though, Robert Inlakesh is a great writer for TLAV, and he has done a lot of work on this really extensively. And we should acknowledge there's evidence that I think is undeniable that there were elements, whether both Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad or just random civilians, that all came through the openings in these fences. So there's all these overlaps to where there could be any number of people that were involved or responsible, and there is evidence of them killing people that were not POWs, people that were not military targets. And I'll actually explain why I say that. But then for example, taking children back. Those are crimes. I've said that since day one. There's no way you argue that those were valid targets. So we can have an objective conversation and say that you can prove, and it's objective at this point based on their own sources, that the IDF, whether it be Hannibal directive or not, was killing their own people, whether accidentally or not. That happened, and arguably the majority. But you can clearly see that there was something else happening there. But why I say military target, let's not forget, and this is what gets people so upset, and this is what frustrates me about the political game. We can't just be objective about this. Under the Fourth Geneva Convention, a occupied territory, which no matter what the screams and narratives are, that's what this is occupied territory, according to everybody who was standing in the conversation, which means they have a legal right to armed resistance. Whether it was random people in Palestine, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, doesn't matter. They're acting in the resistance of Palestine. They have a legal right to attack military targets and military entities, right? And take them as POWs and detainees. That's what war is. So when that happened, it was legally protected. People like Francesca Albanese, Human Rights for the United Nations, has made this clear. Then, if there were crimes committed, whether it was rape or torture or shooting innocent people or kidnapping, those are crimes. Those two things can exist at the same time. But we get into this hyperbolic conversation about where they just kind of whitewash it into one direction. And I think that's the larger point, right? That we're trying to hide this behind something it's not. And to your point, because of people like us are highlighting these things and showing them what they're seeing, and then, of course, showing what's happening in Gaza, it's shaken to the core a lot of people, Zionists, Israelis, Jews, Christians, Americans, because they never saw this coming. And I would point out that, as Adam Green highlighted, there's more Christian Zionists in the world than there are Jewish Zionists.
I
agree.
Game
they play where we're saying it's only Jews. No, that doesn't make sense based on that exact point.
I always say this: not all Jews are Zionists, and all Zionists are Jews.
Right.
And again, they're all working together. But then we start to see in America this real awakening of the effects that one area has. Now, Johnny, we've had the discussion. Why do you think they call it the State of Israel?
I think it's irrelevant. This in political science, a state is a country. So
okay. I mean,
that's what I think. I don't think you're referencing this conspiracy theory that it's like an American state, right?
Well, it's either an American state or it's It's just part of this country in some weird kind of way, almost like in Alaska in a weird way. But what we're starting to see is like maybe it's not our territory. Maybe we're their territory.
Now that I buy.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Well, you remember that it started from Lord Rothschild, the British, and the Balfour Declaration, right? And so you could see an overlap of more than just the United States there. But I would argue that there's been, the colonial mindset is not just Israel. Obviously, Britain, the United States, to this very day, quite frankly. And so it could clearly be an overlap of a lot of things. And I think you can prove that there is wild. I'm in fact not going to get into who and what, but I'm having this conversation today online with somebody back and forth about how it's undeniable, pulling aside all of the nonsense, all of the propaganda and the narratives, that AIPAC has an overwhelming influence over policy, over politicians, like not lobbying style, but like way beyond that. And I can explain that if you'd like. But then Israel itself, obviously, has an overwhelming influence over the outcome of policy in this country. And they're both the same thing, in my opinion, but they're both separate topics. And that can't be contentious. They themselves are praising this. They just recently, I think MSNBC, for crying out loud, did a breakdown showing you that AIPAC funded every single leader on every side of the both sides of the paradigm. There's something wrong there when you recognize that they're pulling funding or spending millions to have somebody removed or to challenge policy. Lobbying is supposed to be the idea that they give money to somebody because they support the person, and in hopes that they can have an influence over their outcome of the policy, and that if next time it comes around, next election season, maybe we won't support them. AIPAC is acting immediate and in real time against policy, against actions, posting things on Twitter to have people taken down. I mean, that's alarming as hell, especially as they're openly acting for the interest of Israel. That shouldn't be contentious or about race. That's about politics, and that's crazy to me.
I saw a great meme, and it was basically that the Federal Reserve prints the money. We send aid to Israel. Israel takes that aid, sends it to AIPAC, and then AIPAC basically uses it to control our politicians. So I said this, like, the whole purpose right now with what is happening in America, the dumbing down of America, all that stuff is so you cannot participate in your government. That you have no clue what your government's doing because you won't understand what our Federal Reserve, the American Central Bank, the United States Federal Reserve is doing to the world. Mm-hmm. You are paying interest on something that is funding the cultural revolution going on in America, destroying your grandchildren, your kids and your grandchildren. All this stuff is all astroturf. None of it is naturally happening. It is Babylonian money magic, funny money that is bribing everybody and turning them retarded to do stupid shit and destroy us from within. And like, we are literally having people print money, send it to this country. This country sends it to this way too powerful lobby group that completely manipulates our whole entire fucking government. And it's like, why can't Israel have a Federal Reserve and print their own money? Why can't Ukraine print their own money? Why? Because it doesn't fit into what the Federal Reserve is meant to do, which is destroy our currency from within. That's what...
I mean, I agree. And I think that these are like different problems, but part of the same larger issue, And I think that, and this goes back to what we were just saying about whether it's Israel influencing the United States or the United States influencing Israel. I mean, I quite frankly think that you could argue that it's oscillated, but I think right now it's very clear that all these mechanisms are being applied to, I mean, here's a good way to put this. How do we explain that just Joe Biden, for example, but pretty much all these politicians are acting outwardly and immediately against their interests? Continuously, because of what's going on in Israel, Joe Biden has lost all of his support. His own people call him Genocide Joe, and yet he's tripling down. He's just standing by Israel. It doesn't make any sense other than there's something else going on there. And so you could argue that things might not have always been that way. But let's not forget the Epstein conversation, right? Acosta made it clear that they were Mossad, CIA overlap conversation there, or the sexual blackmail that we can all prove. So we know that's a real thing. So my point is we need to ask whether there's other forms of compromise, people that are being compromised or being bribed in whatever Congress anywhere. And that's not about race or ethnicity. It's about politicians and government. And we know the CIA does this all over the world. So why is it so weird to bring it up about Israel when we can literally see it in one way with AIPAC? But I don't understand why somebody like Joe Biden or anybody else would continue to stand by this when you got the ICJ and the ICC and like every human rights group in the world, every UN apparatus, even most of these countries now are saying, yeah, it's genocide, and they just keep at it. And now they're participating on the ground. That seems like there's something very wrong there. So it could be that they've always been that controlled or that there's some pressure being applied there. It's interesting.
Hey, guys, you love collecting cards? I did as a kid. And listen, we all remember that one special card as a kid that got us into collecting. For me, personally, Ken Griffey Jr. Loved it. Johnny, what was yours?
Chipper Jones rookie tops.
Damn. Collecting has come a long way since then, but there's now a new way to buy, sell, trade, and rip packs. It's called Arena Club. Arena Club has taken repacking to another level. Introducing slap packs from arenaclub.com. The only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. What do you think about, Johnny?
I've been on Arena Club now for a couple of months, and it has gotten me back into this hobby head first. I adore it. And the cool thing, I get these slab packs every week. They go online a couple of times a week. And the great thing is, and this is unlike any other service, you can see exactly the cards that you could get in each slab pack listed right there in front of you. And then after, they prove it by showing you what everybody got in the slab pack. I love it. It's I have my own showroom there if you want to come find me.
Whoa, Johnny, you got a showroom?
Yeah, everybody does who signs up, and it's a wonderful service. I love Arena Club.
Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform that you have to check out. There's no more shipping delays or cards lost in transit. Arena Club uses blockchain technology to deliver your card immediately. Buy with confidence knowing every card on Arena Club is guaranteed authentic. The Arena Club grading process combines AI and human grading. The accurate, fast, and transparent with a full grade rationale provided and explanations of how your card was scored. Make offers, sending trades, and interact. Create your own personal showroom and start building your collection today. So here's what we need you to do. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/tinfoil. That's arenaclub.com/tinfoil for 10% off your first purchase. Enjoy it. What I can't believe is how there's anybody that doesn't see what's happening in Israel and with the Palestinians, how that's not anything different. It's different in weird ways, but it's pretty much the same as like weapons of mass destruction and the slaughter of 4 million Middle Easterns, I think Iraqis, right? And then Afghanistan and all that stuff. And like, this overhanded response to something, which is most likely a false flag. Now, if something's a false flag, that doesn't mean people didn't die or that the controlled opposition didn't kill people. I think they do kill people. That's their role. That when you're controlled op, like Al Qaeda and ISIS is, right? Answer me this, everybody. If ISIS is such bad guys who are in their Islamic, an Islamic terrorist group, why aren't they going into Gaza right now whooping ass for fucking the Palestinians? Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they apologized to Israel for accidentally shooting at them.
Right. Or how about a recent example where, and this happened more than once over the last couple of months, where right at the peak height of rhetoric, ISIS attacks Iran. Well, hold on. Didn't you just tell us Iran was the leading sponsor of terrorism? How does that make sense? And then, all of this is shockingly obvious if you barely scratch past the surface, which is what you're highlighting. These are proxy armies of the U.S. and Israel. The fact that we can't be honest about that when you have so much evidence, if you just look at like James Corbett's documentary on Al Qaeda or Ben Swann's documentary from years before that, showing you where this really funds back to with the receipts. It's unreal that we can't acknowledge that. Saudi Arabia made a statement a decade back that basically acknowledged that, yes, it was a creation that they were involved in, but basically they lost control of it, to some elements of it. Now, that itself could have been a narrative to kind of remove themselves from accountability. But in any sense, we can go back to things like the Mujahideen and the Soviet Union. I mean, Charlie Wilson's War is a movie about it, where they fund the bad guys in order to manipulate Russia, just like the Azov movement, same thing they're doing now in Ukraine, and then just pretend, basically the story goes they left and went away, and then, but the point is they were still there, they're still manipulating. That is the basis for what we're talking about. Then you have the Saudi Arabian overlap with the Wahhabi kind of militant mindset that intertwines with that. This is ISIS. I mean, all these things are coming directly, provably from the people they're working with. And we can't acknowledge that, acting like they're fighting extremism while they're working with the most extreme elements. And to bring this back to Israel, the fact that Israel literally funded Hamas, and I argue still does with the leadership to this very day.
I totally agree, man. 100%. 100%. Like, you can't go, what about Hamas? I go, dude, Israel created Hamas. You can't just ignore that. You can't just go, oh, I don't know if that's true. It's true. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it may not be a fact. Right. There's facts out there you don't like, and this is the real problem we're getting into with our life, that more and more it's becoming obvious that some unsettling facts are true. And if you can't have the discussion about the unsettling facts, you'll never fix the problem. We cannot inject feelings into certain situations because that was being discussed makes you uncomfortable. We have to have a real discussion here, and we have to go, what we're doing to the Middle East is like a genocide. It's not just Palestine. It's like what we did to the Iraqis. It's what we did in Afghanistan. We commit genocide. We are genocidal. When they tell you 4 million people died from George Bush's war, how is he not talked in the same way as Hitler? Like, how do you not do that, dude? He's 2 million off. Throw in some Afghanis. We hit that number, dude. Dude, if I was around, I would never sell for Hitler. I would never let Hitler run. You let him happen. 9/11, you fell for some bullshit. Like,
right, or the COVID-19 situation, you guys failed to push back on that, or right now you failed to stand up against Israel, like that question of what would you have done during World War II? And we're watching it more than once right now. It's so infuriating when you can see someone like Madeleine Albright. Yeah, that's right. Right? That's that name? Where she says, ask, I think it was 60 Minutes. Do you think it was worth it? Yeah, 500,000 children. Yeah, we think it's worth it. Like, think about that in the context of what we're dealing with now. And this is why it's so hilarious to watch these Zionists with their clumsy propaganda come out and be like, you didn't care about Iraq. So think about the point they're making when they say that. So it's okay that you commit genocide because we didn't care about that genocide. It's like they don't think this stuff through. But it's crazy to see her say that it's okay. And right now, rightly so, people are screaming about 15,000 children because we should have been screaming. They should have been locked up for even acknowledging that was okay. Of course, the argument is that it was like a byproduct, but it's the same game they're playing today. It's like, oh, human shields and all these overlaps. They're willfully allowing this to happen, just like they did with Iraq. There was war crimes tribunals and things that were investigated, but people like Bolton and Bush and the rest of them and Pompeo threatened the families of the ICC, and just like they did today. It's the same game. These are the same people doing the same things. Hopefully, we're going to see something shift with this one, though.
And for the record, I'm for all presidents being put on trial. Okay. Yes. All right. I mean, I'm willing to throw in Trump if you'll give me everybody else.
That'd be easy.
Hey, I think they're all equally as bad, man.
No, 100%. You want to try Trump? Go for it. I don't care, dude. As long as you give me Bill Clinton and the Bushes. If you give me Bill Clinton and the Bushes, I'll happily give you Donald Trump.
Obama.
Yeah,
too,
I was
please.
about to say
throw in Obama. Throw in Obama too. Chocolate Jesus, he can get it too, dog. I don't even get. It's absolutely like it's crazy to me because like I have friends of mine like something happened to comedians, dude, and it's like I'm just telling you the cancel culture thing, that was a psyop that just did so much devastation, dude. It's like so crazy to me because there's this like older guard, which is me, and they're so scared of fucking cancel culture, and then like the younger guard, they don't give a fuck, bro. I mean, they say everything. And it's like, yeah, I love it, dude.
Do you think it's because they have the power they can just redo it again?
No, because they were like in college. They weren't even doing stand-up. They were in high school when the Me Too thing was going on, when the cancel culture shit. They didn't read about it. They didn't give a shit. They were watching the Paul brothers stick their dicks in weird shit for a million views, right? They weren't paying attention to this like psyop done on content creators. Who's getting canceled? Comedians and people who made videos. Why? Because they didn't need banker money to make their content. They didn't, so now the other way to control you is just get you fucking fired from everything and blackball. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, like, hot white chick who drops an N-bomb about broke.
I just saw that.
You're right. There's something weird about that. I mean, she's so hot and she's just everywhere now. And I always say, when someone shows up everywhere all the time, be wary of it, right? She fits
It always feels like this manufactured, like I honestly have barely looked into it. I saw the video where she says that, and I saw the one that's apparently kind of the one that started this off on a side of it, where she was making these arguments about how, I just feel like it's here's what's interesting is the whole culture war. The right loves to point to the left and be like, that's all they talk about. Well, so what? Guess what? So do you. You're doing the same thing about on the other side of it. You're the one perpetuating it the same way, And what's hilarious is good examples like Ben Shapiro and David Rubin, right? They went on a tour literally talking about cancel culture and how it's bad and you shouldn't shut people down based on politics. And then what are they doing to these people protesting around Israel right now? Calling them anti-Semites, getting them suppressed and censored and attacked and arrested. They're doing the same thing. So it just shows you that you're right. This is something that's much more insidious than just we think they're wrong with what they're saying. Like, this is a psyop that's made to not only divide and conquer, but to create this level of where basically the average person that's not trying to scream and getting shut down just kind of checks out. And they go, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to watch the show. I'm going to go to Walmart. I don't want to see what's going on. That's successful to some degree, but I think they're pulling out of it right now.
It is a, what is it?
Panopticon. And then you're saying Potemkin Village.
I really do believe the internet's that. Everyone thinks you're meshing these. I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's a dead internet that makes you think they're always watching you. And maybe they are watching you, but I don't think they can watch all of it. I think they're just, hey, take this guy's data, put in this file in case we need.
I think AI is going to help a lot with that, though. AI will be watching all of us.
Right.
But I agree. That's a really interesting thought, though, right? Because, we do know that there's obvious surveillance that's like overwhelming. But during the whole ongoing war on terror, that's now the war on domestic terror or the war on your body, as Whitney framed it during COVID, that ultimately, that they clearly, I almost lost it there for a second. The war, what we're saying, the war on terror. I just lost my point.
We were talking about how the dead internet is like, they make us think that the dead internet is always watching us.
Yeah, during the war on domestic terror and all of those, they basically had to admit that, we scoop up so much information that we don't have it is meaningless until after the fact, and we go, oh, there it is. Now we can see it.
Yes.
And so that's a problem right there. So it's this ubiquitous. All that really shows you is it's about enforcing against Americans as opposed to the reverse. But the point is that we do act. I act in ways that just kind of like assume that what I say is being listened to, or what. I don't think that's always there, but you're right. There's this level of kind of acting as if, and I think that works for them in a lot of ways, but not for people like myself, or I would argue you, because I know I have a right to say these things and I act in good faith. And so I proudly say it. I just know that they're probably listening. But the average person who worries about getting canceled, I guarantee that they're worried about saying certain things. And to your other point, as the AI becomes more prevalent, which is happening right in front of us, I think it's going to be a blink before we're now at the digital ID, social credit level, which is already kind of there. And then it's just a wall comes down. Like, I think that's what's actually going to start to happen is where, they can just shut you out. And all of a sudden you say the wrong thing. And now they actually have a way to cancel people like us, not just financially, but they can just go, guess what? You can't even join these platforms anymore. You can't even access the internet anymore. What do you do then? I don't even know. That's a terrifying next step.
I agree with that as well. I do feel that people are waking up.
I do too.
To what is going on. A lot of stuff that I do in comedy, I'm not saying I'm brave. I'm not saying, but my whole thing is like, I'll say everything I'm told I'm not supposed to say and be like, look, nothing happened. Nothing happened. I'll say, what word can I say? I'll say it. And then you'll see nothing happens. And like the reason I do that is because I just want people to know you're like, it's the shadow in the cave. You're way more afraid of something that probably doesn't even really exist. And not that the Central Intelligence are going, but it's like you brought up like the Mossad, and the IDF. It's like this whole thing with like, oh, they're the best ever there. Well, Mossad gets caught all the time. They just get, then everyone's, it's Mossad. Let them go. Okay, go home. Stop back. It's like they get caught constantly. Constantly, they're getting caught doing what they're doing, and we just go, okay, just go on. Just like they're the annoying kids down the street.
You can give them credit for creating, or whatever created, the Zionist organization, creating some surreptitious level of influence to such a degree that they can get away with stuff like that. Like, that is clearly they made that work. But you're right that now that has been pulled away because of what they did after October 7th, which I really think that's what kind of, they shot themselves in both feet with the way they responded there, and still are now, to where they've ruined all of that. And so now that veneer is gone, and so we're like, that's all you got? That's it? Like, I thought you were way better than this, than that. You're getting caught left and right.
100%. So I want to get into the next PSYOP that's coming, because I believe, I say around August, so we got about 2 months, I think you're going to see a real ratchet up of everything leading up to November election, because for some reason, that thing is still important to them, and they want to control it, because I think the illusion is very important to them. Because once the illusion is gone, how many people will participate in all their bullshit?
Is that going to be a major talking point? Because, I mean, obviously the border.
What do you mean?
For the election, you think Gaza's gonna be?
No, dude, I'm not talking even about talking point. I'm talking about all the psyops being pulled on at one time. Antifa, illegal immigrants.
Oh, it's all okay.
Pro-abortion, anti-abort. Like, they are pulling every single psyop out to cause chaos that gets you not to leave your house. That's what it's all about. Don't leave your fucking house. Okay, get everybody okay with mailing in your ballot. Don't leave your fucking house. We got these illegals burning down the Democrat, and they have to control Chicago, L.A., and New York, and San Francisco to a point. They have to control those cities, because without those 3 cities, the Democrats can't win shit. The Democrats always start off two states. They're 2 states up at the beginning of every election: New York and California.
But see, I'm at the level here where I don't think your vote in any way.
No, you're totally right. But I'm saying the illusion of it. Yeah, the illusion of that it's important. Okay, they have to play the illusion, because once the illusion's gone, people will have no faith in any of them, and then the old guard dies.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting overlap to that, though. And to your point a second ago, I actually don't think, I think they're going to avoid the Gaza conversation like the plague in what's coming up. I think because every single one of them that is leading, RFK, Trump, they're all Zionists. They're proud and screaming they're going to support Israel. But to the whole thing, I mean, I think we're going to get to a point where this is, I mean, whether this is kind of the engineer fall of the West conversation we were just having, where this is about pulling this all down to justify some next step. But here, let me put it this way. I think what happened with Israel on October 7th forward was not a larger plan. Like, whether this was allowed by the Zionist organization at some level to create the kind of sentiment they need to justify their existence, and some not, I don't think this was a larger thing. And I could be wrong on that. So I think what happened after October 7th has destroyed everything. The illusion of the rules-based international order, that they're fighting for freedom and democracy, that, all of these things. So now coming into this election, where they've already had some of the most unprecedented numbers over the last so many elections, right? I mean, it's commonly understood, if you actually look at these, that the largest voting bloc every year are people that don't participate. And then within the people that do, the largest voting bloc is independent. So there's a game we play where the right and left is all that matters. I mean, they're desperate right now. Then you add this conversation. And the idea that people are bringing up things like the influence of Israel on policy, and they're going to hide all this stuff. So I think we're going to see one of the most interesting elections we've ever had, and that's where I worry about what you're talking about, where maybe they're going to just hold this thing down to the ground. Whether that's Israel, whether it's the United States, or the supranational entities we talked about, in order to just move in something new. Like, I've never seen more conversation about the election not happening, which kind of comes up every year, but I've never seen more than now, and never seen more reason to actually think that makes sense. And I don't want to be like hyperbolic and worry people, but I kind of think it makes sense. Every part of this element, all the power structures have lost so much influence. Right now, I've never seen a more likely time where somebody like Biden or Blinken might actually get held accountable. I don't think it's going to happen, but when's the last time we saw the ICC, the ICJ, international groups, independent lawsuits, calling them genocide, calling them war criminals? So it's like this really crazy time. And so I worry what that will amount to, like you're saying, pulling all the levers at once.
I think that, again, going back to the Bolshevik Revolution, that's what's happening. They destroyed Russia from within, they destroyed China from within, and they destroyed Germany from within. And look what they got in most of those countries outside of Russia. Well, even Russia they did to a point. I mean, with this whatever kind of government Russia is, they're not really communist anymore, but they're not really free market. It's like a weird kind of blend. But all three of those countries have just a complete lockdown on their people, on political discussions. There's a woman right now. She's 93 years old. She was alive during World War II, who does not believe in the story of the Holocaust. She's been in jail for 10 years.
Whoa.
Crazy.
Think about that.
Wild. I mean, she's pretty prominent, right? Where she's basically saying that she doesn't believe that there were some that were killed, but the narrative that they put out is a complete lie. They died from disease and stuff. I think that's what she's saying, right?
Her belief is that those were labor camps, and that the people actually died because the Allies bombed the fuck out of all the way to get food to those things. Oh, that's
right. And the siege. She said because there was a siege that starved people. So that's an interesting overlap to today. But see, what's interesting about that, though, is that people out there can believe what they want to believe. There's such a contentious topic, and we have every right to talk about it, free speech. But what's crazy to me is that she, like you said, is in prison.
In prison?
Because it's Germany. Like, how does anybody think that makes sense?
I don't know why. And I've had people go, yeah, well, she's wrong. I go, but dude, you think she should be in prison? And it's so crazy to me how the liberal, and this guy's a pretty liberal dude. He lives in Austin. And he's like, yeah. I go, but dude, you're the guy who believes in every fucking liberal cause there is, about people's right to express themselves, their sexualities, to get abortions, all this shit. But because they say one thing that you don't agree with, you're willing to throw all that out and lock this 80-year-old grandma in prison for 10 years because she said
who was actually alive at that time, right?
Who was alive at that time?
More reason to speak on it than anybody.
Well, who was that? So do you remember that Netflix special where they went around and chased around that old that Nazi soldier? You think he should have gone to jail? He was like 91 or 90, old guy, they would say. And people claim, oh, I remember him. He used to put me in the camps.
Dude, my whole thing about that Nazi hunting shit, it was just a giant fucking show. They went after low-level people, and they knew where all these high-ranking guys. Dude, listen to me. I say this all the time on the show. The Nazis didn't lose World War II. The Germans did. That's why... Von Braun comes here, doesn't even change his name. You read all these guys that went to Canada, none of them changed their names. If you're hiding, if you're being snuck in, you change your name. Yeah, dude, if you're wanted for something for falling asleep on the show,
I change my name right now.
You would go somewhere onto another show. You'd never be Xavier Guerrero. They'd be like, oh, that's the guy who's wanted for sleeping on his own podcast, right? No, you would change your name to Juan Gonzalez or something like that, and you'd be a totally different guy.
But you're right. If you watch this documentary, he's just a low level guy that works in worked in
the tower. They're like, we're getting them.
Hey. I fuck that guy though. I mean, get him 100%. Too, but get all the other guys. Yeah.
Get all of them though. Yeah,
dude. The woman who is running because Trudeau's so unpopular.
Get him too.
In Canada, he can't. There's no way he's gonna run. So they got his number one chick. Her grandma literally was the secretary of some of the highest ranking Nazis of all time. Why is she running? Why are they giving up? Do you understand? It's all a psyop. The Nazis were Zionists, dude. And you could kill me for that if you want. I don't care. But it all lines up. It all lines up. It's why all of their descendants, everyone who works with them, are in power. It's the same thing when you study all these celebrities who go, I don't know why these celebrities still do that show where they do their heritage with their DNA test and all that stuff. It's oh, by the way, super woke woman, your family were slave traders. And they're like, right? But look where they are. They're all still in power.
I agree, by the way, that, like, just to make it clear that these Nazi elements should definitely be held accountable for what we're talking about, right? But what's interesting to you highlight is the very entities pretending to hold them accountable, Operation Paperclip, that's what you're highlighting, right? Bringing in the worst elements enfolding them into your entity. That's not fighting those things. That's taking, you coveted what they had. And the same thing happened in Japan. I make the same point. This gets lesser attention. And this is important that overlap with COVID. Dr. Ishii in Japan was at the same time frame, right after World War II. They basically took the basis for their biological warfare program comes from what he was doing in Japan at the same time. Some of the most grotesque, open, live human experiments that you've ever seen in your life, just like with Germany stuff. It's horrifying, or rather Nazi stuff. And so they just took this stuff into themselves. And so the point needs to be made, if you look from there forward, whether it's the fact that the U.S. government was an ally with Saddam Hussein before he suddenly became the big boogeyman, or that the Washington Post called Osama bin Laden a warrior of peace before he suddenly became the biggest boogeyman, or on and on and on. It's kind of hard to see the weird consistency there, that they're working with these people until suddenly they're the bad guy. Like, that's so alarming to me. And I think most people don't want to even talk about it because it ties back to something that they think they're not supposed to talk about.
Have you seen that, like, Tucker Carlson's going around trying to, like, rewrite Nixon's like image? And I find it hilarious because I'll send this to you, Cristian. It's back when 60 Minutes was doing really great work. They interview this Boston lawyer who was just determined to, like, find out where all the Nazis were, right? So he just kept doing this, like, Freedom of Information Act on the CIA and all, and he just kept pounding them. Then one day they're like, fine, you get 1 day, you get to come in, you can't take pictures, you can read everything. And he read all the documents, and he found out that Nixon, along with, I think, Truman, and a Rockefeller, created a committee. And the whole committee's point was getting all the Nazis to America.
Of course.
Which is so crazy that they got rid of him because they eventually got rid of Nixon because he was like, I know you killed Kennedy. And then they're like, okay, you got to go. Bye-bye. But he was instrumental in it. Like, they all worked to bring these guys over because, in my humble opinion, the Nazis probably won. Like, we're not getting the true history. I'm not saying that Germany was and Europe wasn't destroyed, but I think that was the goal, is, again, to destroy from within.
Yeah, and it depends on what you mean by winning, right? I mean, it's not necessarily to say that what they did was right. You're basically just saying that the elements that should have been actually held accountable were rewarded by the very person that was trying to hold them accountable, or at least claiming that, right? I mean, you don't. That's
what
the
I'm saying is that they're actually, in a weird way, ISIS of Germany, in that ISIS's whole thing is to destabilize. Like, so there's some talk about why they wanted Germany destroyed. There was radium, which was like unlimited energy that they were starting to use in their ships, which means they would never need oil or anything like that. And then they were like one of the leading pharmaceutical nations, and they wanted to get that all out of Germany and over to America where they can control the pharmaceutical companies. So when I say that the Nazis won, I believe that their real goal at the highest levels was to just destroy Europe. And that's my opinion. And that's why they were just allowed. I mean, to walk over here, like, how many, like Nuremberg, Johnny and I have discussion about this all the time. How many actual Nazis were tried? Like 15? Like,
right.
Well, that's the main trial, but there were subsequent Nuremberg trials.
Right, but how many?
Hundreds more.
Hundreds of trials?
No, hundreds
of people. Yeah, it's still not a lot when you consider how many. But I mean,
yeah, how many of these dudes just went to South America and just started, like, knocking up South Americans and giving us Ghislaine Bunchins? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's serious. Like, dude, there's German towns in Latin America where everything is German because so many Nazis just went there and chilled. And all the locals knew it. Nobody did anything, dude.
Right. Think about how ridiculous it is that we can have, like, a National Geographic series that's like Hitler went to South America and they, like, literally prove it. And yet our own, like, government and, like, high-minded journalist society was like, that's fake news. Like, don't even talk about it. That's pretty obvious. There's something being covered up right there.
So I want to get into, real quick, while we have you for a little longer, I've been on stage talking about how excited I am about bird flu coming because, like, I just think LA needs a black plague once a year where they just run everybody to Austin, so we have pandemic traffic everywhere like that. That's it. And they
You think it's going to hit LA hard?
Well, they're going to try to do all of it. Whether I just don't think people are going to fall for it again. That's just my opinion, but. They're trying to do it, dude. They're laying it down, and they just and it's so funny because they're trying disease X. Let's throw that out. Let's see if anyone gets excited about nothing. Okay, bird flu. Now it's bird flu. So, like, what are your thoughts on what the future holds for us and their attempt once again to get the WHO World Treaty that supersedes all of our own national laws?
Yeah, it's actually interesting you bring that up. I'll start with that. Derek Brose wrote an excellent article that I wasn't even aware of before he broke this down. So you've got the world, the pandemic treaty or accord, whatever they're going with now, that seems to have stalled, which doesn't mean it's gone. Like, it's very clear that it's still moving, but which was a win to a degree that we've talked about. Like, it's good to see that it's not going the way we thought it was. But they also had this, I'm going to blank on the term for it. It was the kind of this something final, dang it, I'm going to forget what it's called. In any case, there's an article he just put up. It's on the website on Derek's section about another kind of World Economic Forum meeting they had, which was rather than overlap with WHO, sort of about a more ambiguous version of like the exact same thing. And so my thought was, and my point in saying that is that if you look into it and read it, everything you worried about with the pandemic accord exists within this in much more ambiguous terms. And so my point was like, okay, wait a minute, maybe that was the whole problem, reaction, solution dynamic to get you to go, we don't like that. That's too obvious. And so they go, okay, that's pulled back. That's how that usually works. Then they slowly put in something that's a little bit less obvious and people get comfortable with that. I'm worried that might have been a part of that. Either way, overall, that's still going forward, right? The whole pandemic discussion, the globalist mindset about health. And so the bird flu part of it is very, very obvious to me. And one thing I said about this before, maybe like a couple months back, even before that, I think we should be very careful about being their cheerleaders in a sense where they go, this thing's here, and don't really push it. But then you get like half the right media that comes out and goes, this is coming. Here it is. It's next. They're pushing it. And it's like you're doing their job for them, right? It's like, let's wait to see how they put these things forward.
Okay.
Now, but I agree with you. Over the last couple of months, all the marks are there. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen, but, pushing the testing, the new injections. I think Finland's now actually going to give these bird flu shots to people. And I went deep on that. It's like the wrong strain. It's the wrong, even if you think whether you think it's there or not is an important question. But the one they're going to talk about giving people is like H5N8. Not even the right thing. It makes sense to me. So I think they're just trying to get this moving. And I think that it's there if they want to push these things. All the things are in place. The PCR test conversation. I mean, it really does worry me. But I agree with you. I don't think people will fall for it again. And that's been my largest point, is that I don't think they think that people will fall for the same game again, which makes me worried that they might do something real, which I don't think is beyond them, right? Because if you do something where you are literally, as it would be in a real situation like that, seeing people fall and die in the streets and things are happening, then people would react. And I worry that they're in such a desperate position because of Israel and everything else that might actually be what happened. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I think that's a valid possibility.
Completely agree.
Yeah. It goes into, I don't know if you saw that video by David Gold and a lot of people, Goldberg, about the Zephyr Project Zephyr Project. But he talks about Project Pogo and Project Zephyr, and he breaks down that the Zionists are getting very scared. They're getting very scared because it's so obvious what's going on that they're going to do something crazy.
I agree.
And it's like you don't build a bunch of FEMA camps if you're not going to throw somebody in there, right? Which makes me very nervous.
There's a lot of those weird overlaps that people still disregard as conspiracy theory. Even going back to the United Nations overlap and the peacekeepers, you can show I covered this a long time ago. It's like a Kellogg factory that somebody saw with a drone that behind it in this anomalous situation, you had 500 UN trucks just sitting there. And it's like, I guess you could argue there's some other reason for that. But I think there's all these different pieces in place. And that's from a long time ago. But to your point, right now, there are a lot of these things that show you there's definitely something other than just your best interest in the way your governments are acting. And with the Zionist overlap to it, the loss of influence they have, and even to your point from before, like the prophecy overlap. Some of these Zionists like literally believe that they're going to have like this massive destruction of like the United States situation or other elements before these new things happen. And they're public about that. So either way, whether Zionist or your own government or, something else, I'm worried that might be the way this takes place right now.
But they're also working to make these prophecies happen. That's
exactly.
it. It's like, oh, we got to hurry this up. So it's like I've talked about this before. My good friend Tony Gerardo, he always goes from the Bible and tells me all this stuff's going to happen. Like he told me, I knew there was something was going to happen to the towers. In the 90s, I was told this was going to happen. And then he told me about the EU forming. And then he brought up, lost tribes of Israel versus the pagans. And he goes, it's going to be United States, UK, and Israel versus the pagans. And, dude, then all of a sudden, who leads the EU? England. And you're like, what the fuck, bro? The UK just left the EU, dude. That's fucking nuts to me. That fits into what they're saying, dude. And it's just, and then he brought up that the pagans were going to be led by Germany. And then I had Adam Green on, and Adam Green talks about in the prophecies, they basically say the area that is Germany will be leading the thing. And that's coming from a guy who believes in nothing versus a guy that believes in everything. And they're all saying the exact same thing. But my point is that they're all like these people, whether they're Freemasons, whether they're Zionists, whether they're Marxists, they're all working together to make this thing happen. Like it's almost like they're stagehands on a production called Apocalypse, right? And you're like it's like this Broadway thing that everyone's going, watch the Zionist apocalypse. It's better than Cats, right? And they're all just working together to make it happen. And it's just
but if they do want to make it happen, it's going to happen. He kind of scared me, saying, well, they will release a real one.
No, okay, that's possible. But I want to get into, I think when they want people to get sick, they crank that 5G up.
That's a great point as well. I mean, I'm sure your audience is well aware of that, but that's a legitimate concern for like you're saying, for when that is actually turned up to a point where people can have immediate symptoms, like things to the point where like your skin is burning and you feel like you have a fever. But I want to point out though that, I think that they obviously see that we see this, right? And so whether or not they choose to release something or not, I think it's obvious that they know we're watching what's happening. And so I think that leads to the reality that something will have to be done that's far more extreme than just feigning something, which makes me genuinely worried about this, And there was another point I was going to make, but I kind of lost it. So go ahead.
I've been with you. That happens to me a lot. So you're a good-looking guy, dressed very well on the show. I'm glad you're here, dressed, looking like that. Because I like to talk to people that have class and ask them, you brought up, are you in a train theory? I think we've talked this before, but anytime I can hear about it, I'd love to hear about it. Are you a train theorist? Are you a germ theorist?
Well, it's an interesting question because I'm in the place right now where I've extensively researched. I've interviewed people, from terrain. I've interviewed Kaufman like 3 times. And it's interesting to me that I personally feel that neither side seems to meet all of what explains it for me, which irritates everybody, which is typically how I end up in these positions, like the left-right paradigm. And I'm like, well, they're both wrong. And everyone hates on you. I think that right now, germ theory is not adding up for me in a lot of easy ways to prove. That's what Kaufman first opened my mind to that, where I started, seeing that, there's some of these issues like isolation, Koch's postulates has never been met in a lot of these different circumstances, if not ever. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's crazy to me. And you can prove these things despite all the screams about everything. But then, and there's a lot more to that, but then I come over to the train theory because of that. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, right? There's a lot. And I would argue more from that side that adds up for me. The idea of what real health actually is, and not just pharmaceuticals and medicine, but like the idea of keeping your body actually healthy in the terrain. But there's also parts of that I don't think doesn't add up for me. Okay. And I've even had on an interview with Kaufman, he kind of admitted to one point that there's some of these things that are just unanswered still. And so I'm like, okay, so in my opinion then, I don't think either of them have explained it yet. And so that frustrates people that have just decided that terrain is the thing and that you can't have any other opinion. I think that there's honest people in that conversation, a lot of them, that genuinely want to find out what's going on and genuinely believe that's the case. But I also see a very alarming element in that conversation that I see kind of like the 9/11 conversation, where if you had a minor disagreement, which I mean, I shouldn't call it minor, there's big story, but if you got a disagreement on one of the data points, like planes, no planes.
I agree.
You were like, you're not allowed in this conversation. It's like, hold on, can't we all just we all agree the government's involved, right? We all agree there's this problem here, but you get like boxed out of it. And so that's even while I'm like over the top about how, I mean, every time I talk about this, I'm like, whether you think it exists or not, and that's very possible, they just want me to come out and be like, germs don't exist, and you're right. And it's like, I don't agree with that. And if I don't say that, then I'm somehow controlled opposition.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really faulty way of thinking, you know? Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I think there's new. Oh, look at this. Bird flu is rampant in animals. Humans ignore it at their own peril. Come on, bro. You're just
I told you were right.
It's just manifestation. That's what they're doing. If you actually, someone should do an actual doc on the slow rolling out of COVID. The step by step how they got you to do it, and it's the same thing they did with HIV. They get you to buy it into somebody else, and once you buy it into somebody else, and they get a sense, okay, everyone's buying it, that it's only goes against Asians or Chinese. Once you buy that, bang! All of a sudden they're like, "Oh, dude, this white person got it too. Oh no, I could get it," and now you're fucked. Same thing with HIV. Once they convince you it was a gay man's disease,
you're
like, oh, dude, these guys
have an asshole. They have an asshole type of shit.
Then it's like, oh, no, I get to. Now you're fucked because you already believed in it. And we can get into how they proved HIV exists, which is basically through circumstantial evidence. It's based on these enzymes. They never found the exact virus.
Right.
They just find the enzymes. They're like, well, if the enzymes are here, that means it's there. But what later on they came out and they admitted all these viruses, I'm doing a lot of aggressive air quotes right now. All these viruses produce these enzymes. It was all built on a giant lie.
I actually genuinely believe, and Mikovits is one of the first people that turned me on to this. I interviewed her like right in the beginning of the COVID-19 conversation that I think we're talking about the same thing. SARS-CoV-2 does not equal, if that even exists, COVID-19. And then you have this whole conversation about HIV and AIDS. It's the same game, which right now we're proving, and I think then was also clear, that we're talking about a vaccine-induced the same situation. HIV is just a autoimmunity thing, right? So we're talking about, or rather, AIDS, what they say is an autoimmunity thing. So I actually think that was the same thing. We're talking about a vaccine-induced problem that they blame on whatever they say was there. And I still argue that there could be something. And what I was going to say before is there's other possibilities here about what we could be talking about. To bring it back to the terrain point is one of the things I brought up with Kaufman was like, okay, well, there's a huge element of the terrain part that believes bacteria is real, but viruses aren't. Okay, so bacteria can cause symptoms. Bacteria, if certain bacterial infections can spread and other people can get sick. Okay. Bacteria have proteins, which proteins like the spike protein. Okay, so then let's just get away with the word and acknowledge there could be something they're working on that could get you sick based on your own theories. Or how about virus-sized transistors and nanotechnology, which I've talked about with Charles Lieber in 2011, highlighting a virus-sized transistor that can this stuff is all, at least they claim is real, but I'm open to the idea that it could be a lie. But don't those meet a possibility? So it's like the idea that we just brush the conversation away as not real when there are things that actually meet what you could be calling it. Just get away from the word virus. So I think that's also a problem there. And I think the HIV AIDS, and it's a very real, they're giving people things that they're experimenting with. That is obviously what COVID-19 was. And I think that was happening back then too. And Mikovits and others have been telling us that for a long time.
I'm so into that right now that what terrain theory was when it was discovered or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm functionally illiterate, so the word's escaping me. But it's like when it was basically made. God, that's the worst word possible. But
thought up.
They basically they didn't have all this technology now. Like when you talk about virus-sized nanobots, they're spraying the skies, guys. What are they? I mean, they find these microbiomes. Like we all agree on that. Even if you're a terrain theorist, you believe in microbiomes. Couldn't they weaponize that like a motherfucker?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're clearly working on something. This is what I said the other day. I think we all acknowledge they're doing something in these labs, whether, gain of function or whatever we're talking about. So, I mean, should we just disregard that they're doing something in there because you don't like the word that we're calling what they're putting out? It's like, that seems really irresponsible to me. It's like we have to acknowledge that they're doing something. And it could very well be something that has nothing to do with pathogens. but they're still doing something. And I think that we're still being experimented on. And I think that's a dangerous way to play that conversation. But I, again, genuinely think that there's something to what they're talking about with the terrain theory from the honest side of that conversation. People should not ignore it. I mean, I argue that eventually that'll be some kind of a leading element to how the full picture comes out from that very point, I think.
So as we wrap it up here, we kind of talked about it a little earlier, but I don't know if we got your exact take on it. What do you think the rest of the year has in store for us?
Hard question, I mean, I think, let's be hopeful. I think that, honestly, I think what's happened because of post-October 7th and everybody trying to really, I think it highlights what we talked about earlier is that Israel, the Zionist government, has such overwhelming influence over countries, or whether it's blackmail or just bribery, whatever else, that because of what they did, thinking that they could get away with this and everybody would follow suit, they exposed everything. I mean, I think that's really clear right now. They just exposed it and everyone's tripling and doubling down, and some people have decided not to. And I think that's caused a huge change. I think there's a major, more than I've ever seen in my entire life doing this, opportunity for us to actually see change. If we can get past the two-party illusion and the screamers on either side that want to maintain the status quo for their interest, right? I think that if we can just get past that, we could really see something change bigger than even just Israel and foreign policy. So if I like to believe that will kind of be forced into that conversation, whether the election or just during that and around it, which might actually change something. But I think that ultimately I'm worried about where this goes, and I hate to be the pessimist, but I think history has shown that these very people we're talking about, whether it's our own government or just the power structures around it, are absolutely willing to kill people, as you said, to sacrifice people, to throw you under the bus, to get what they want out of it, which is not in the interest of human life. So I'm worried that if they are that insecure, the cornered animal analogy, that we might see something we've never seen before. So all I would say for people out there is that we should be, pre-COVID, remember the whole idea people preppers are so crazy, and then all of a sudden you're scrambling for toilet paper, right? Just be prepared. Be smart about this, whether or not you have something coming. Learn how to do things you need to do to survive. Have water and food and store and so on, and just make sure that you're prepared for anything that comes.
Stop wiping your ass in the apocalypse. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can go. That was the craziest part. Like, if it's a zombie apocalypse, are you really going to care about wiping your ass? There's so much.
Water was running.
Johnny's going to be the only one.
Right,
Johnny's in Fallout, the show Fallout, trying to hunt for toilet paper.
Just take a shower. Shit shower.
I mean, I'll have to use a leaf, but I'm still going to wipe my ass.
I'm not, dude. I'm on the move, bro. I'm hunting. I don't give a shit.
I'll shower.
I shit and go, dog.
Shit and
That's
shower.
how I go.
Remind me to stay in the compound adjacent to you.
Yeah. Hey,
with you,
bro.
man. I'm with
It's
you.
going to be zombie apocalypse, and I don't care about your butthole.
Yeah, the zombies
dog.
are going to smell your stinky ass and find you while you
They
sleep.
won't
I'll jump in the shower. Like, dude, when I see a lake, I'll go in there and wash it down. I'm just
Oh,
not
that's
gonna-
like your approach now, basically. Okay, good. You shitting in the shower. We learned about that on Broken Sim.
What else? Sam goes from shit to shower?
No, dude, I do not. Listen, I don't know what he's talking about. Ryan, great episode. As always. One more time, could you please tell us where our listeners can find you and anything else you want to talk about?
Just thelast.americanvagabond.com is our website. It's the best place to go. As I always say, don't let these platforms be the conduit between you and our information. Because, I mean, we're being censored left and right. We almost just got censored by Stripe, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. But
really?
Because of, amazing pushback, we technically did. I two appeals came back where they said, nope, you're no longer allowed to use the platform. And I put it on Twitter. And then Indie News Network and Decensored News and other people wrote articles about it. We're hounding the Stripe or the Substack CEO to be like, how are you going to allow this? Because Stripe works for your platform. And they came back and they pulled it back. And so that's a successful moment right there of people pushing back against these kind of things. My point is, though, that our platform hopefully will be there unless they go after the domain and so on. So that's the best place to find us. But, we have a lot of work coming out, a lot of, good writing, our show, new events coming up down the line and so on. So just keep up with our platform. And, I really appreciate what you guys do. And I love I really do love the format of just kind of like the overlap of this important information with just the conversation around it. So thank you for what you guys are doing, and make sure you support them as well. So thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, let's get into it. What do you guys think? Ryan Cristian comes in, guns a-blazing. Great show. Thoughts?
Deep.
I like that. Johnny, you were quiet.
He's another one of those guys I just like to listen to. He's got a, he's well informed on a broad variety. You know, you can bring up just about anything to him, current event related, especially, and he's got a well informed opinion. I'm always impressed by people like that.
It's always impressive to hear somebody who is such a wonderful journalist also be okay with talking about terrain theory and 9/11's inside job and did COVID exist, all that stuff that most mainstream reporters or journalists don't want to talk about. And it's fun to talk to someone who's good looking, well dressed, that's willing to talk about those things, because those tend to be, the darker realms of conspiracy. That's who tends to like to talk about those
so
things.
that's what you were getting at when you were talking about how well dressed and slick looking he was.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
I thought you were just complimenting his.
No, he's a
his
good-looking guy who's well-dressed.
No, I mean,
He gave a good vibe.
He looks like he's running the #1 Italian restaurant in town. And he's also got Coke if you want it.
Welcome to Giuliano's.
Right? And like for be dressed like that, good-looking guy, and to be able to talk about things like terrain theory is very rare.
And as deep as he goes, he's pretty he gave me a positive vibe.
Yeah,
like he's like, I've been down the Gaza this, and I'm like, whoa.
So what you're saying, like that people who have gone in those dark rabbit holes, it wears on them, right?
It would wear on me. It would wear on me.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
I get what you're saying. Okay,
it would
I agree, because it seems like the people who have gone the deepest often, it's kind of it wears you down. It grinds you.
That is the key, guys, is to not in your desire to save the world, destroy your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. His life seemed to go pretty well for her. Like we've seen some people where I'm like, oh, you're like consumed in this, and it's like
no, we know many people like that. You're 100% right.
That's just my humble opinion, and it's just like I thought it was great, and I really like what he discussed, and this thing that kind of like is what I believe right now is that Zionism isn't a Jewish thing, right? Even though it is the center of it.
Yeah, you can't tell me that George W. Bush wasn't, one of the biggest Zionists in the history 100%.
Of the
fucking planet.
If you take a look at like England and like who's behind like the formation of Israel, it is Freemasons. The very high ups were like level 33 Scottish Freemasons. So they're involved in it. So when he goes, there's more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish. He's totally right.
That's a great point. It's good.
Zionism is an Abrahamic thing, not just a Jewish thing.
Yeah, and there just aren't that many Jews. That's one thing that people don't seem to understand.
Dude, they seem like they're everywhere.
Well, that's why it's interesting. But by numbers, there just aren't that many.
They're literally because they're in two of the biggest cities in the world, Los Angeles and New York. I had a friend of mine come from Australia. She's like, holy shit. I go, what? She goes, I thought there were just Jews everywhere. I was like, yeah, it's like
15 million in the world, apparently.
In the world.
Whole world,
yeah. I mean, that's not a lot.
No.
There's more people in LA or like New York.
No, that's about the population, yeah.
Is that crazy? Of the world.
Yeah, the whole world.
And one of them's president of Mexico.
That, and then you get into the whole thing. It's like they're very highly represented
0.2% of the world's population is
0.2%, and they are heavily represented in a lot of different power structures, which is why people get very angry. But to me, it's also why like you should be able to criticize someone who's Jewish. Sure. Well, like if you want to all because they're Jew, that to me is lazy. Right? It's
criticize
like
the ideas, what they do,
yeah,
their action.
Or criticize the person, and like I felt that like when that Twitter was going off on white people in 2018. Like, dude, criticize the person. It's not the entire group.
I think what the person has done.
Their actions.
Yeah, their actions. Oh, by the way, 0.2% of the population, 70% of the front page of CNN is Jewish. I mean, it's just all.
That's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing. So.
And they're killing it when they're going after your website. How they were saying how they had to go on Twitter and like let everybody know.
Oh, his website. Yeah.
But
Stripe, right? Yeah.
But what was I going to say there? I had something to say and it's gone. It just left
your
my head.
Your computer took it from your brain.
Goodbye. Thought in my head. Goodbye. I thought it was a great episode. I had a very deep thing to talk about right there. It was going to change everybody's life, and it's gone. I don't have it in my head anymore. anymore.
But I do love that you're kind of not, but he's kind of right with that terrain thing where it's like there's both sides where it's like they win and sometimes you could get it.
I
and you
agree. I
don't.
think the answer is merge. You got to merge both of those ideas.
Yeah.
The truth is, I think there are bugs. I do think that there's something like a virus. It might not be exactly
well,
what
Johnny
we're
should
told,
know
but
it. He used to be a bug chaser.
I
You know
mean-
what that is?
No,
Xavier?
what is that?
That was the gay guys who wanted AIDS.
Yeah.
Oh, bug chasers?
They
You
were
think
called
that's
bug-
real? You think that's real?
I mean, there were articles on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but-
okay. I
okay,
mean,
but-
now I think it's
okay,
not
yeah.
real.
But they
probably.
just wanted to get AIDS so they didn't have to care anymore. Because they were just like, I can just bareback all day now.
Oh God. Oh, but
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, there was people trying to get COVID.
No, I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I can't either. But the whole point is, it's like,
Oh, it's both of those things. Sorry. Yeah, it's like I think that there are bugs, but I think how you maintain your terrain is
Very important.
far
yeah.
more important than mainstream medicine acknowledges. So
yeah,
I think that's maybe what he was getting at.
yeah. I mean, like, I thought it was a great episode. I think we're having these dangerous conversations. I thought it was a great conversation. I think it's like we should all love each other and just understand that there's a power structure at the top that works demonically. And that's what I think is like, once you start to understand that and stop going off on each other, that to me is what it is. So that's it, dude. Anything else?
Nah. It's a great episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah,
dude.
we've had some bangers lately, dude. Really,
no
use.
but bangers, bro. No but
Got
bangers.
loud there for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just go to SamTripoli.com. Again, I'm going to have some live shows coming up. There we go. Morris Plains on the 20th and the 21st. We're in Morris Plains. The 20th is just a stand-up show, okay? Stand-up, Sam Tripoli, Eddie Bravo, friends. And then the next day is Tinfoil Hat Comedy. Tinfoil Hat Comedy is a stand-up show, followed by Swarm Tank. That show, those shows, that Friday night shows, they're selling out quick. Grab your tickets. Then the following night, we're in Broadbrook. And then in July, I'm in Kansas City. So that's where we're at. And then, guys, the affiliate program is fire. Okay, premium content. I'm adding stuff every day.
Every day.
All the time. Listen, guys, I'm also, this is me, Sam Tripoli speaking. I am giving you 5 episodes a week of like an hour and a half of free content. It's a lot of work. If you can help support, find my premium content if you can. Find Xavier's. Johnny's doing something. Who knows? I think he's on OnlyFans, chronically masturbating. We don't know. $8 get all of my myself premium content, or you can go to Rockfin for $15. Get everybody's content, which I think is the best deal out there. I think you guys should support Rockfin. They're doing great stuff over there. My dates are there. New issue of Chaos Twins is going to start coming out, so check that out. That's very exciting. Cash Daddy's killing, dude, killing it. Loving me, loving you.
Dude, you
Look
got
at that,
710 people?
dude. Yes, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
And you still haven't found one to give you 1,000.
Not one person's given us allowed us to watch them make love, and I'm not happy about it at all.
By the way, multiple people have said, "Hey, is that real?" That is 100% real.
That's 100% real.
They'll watch you.
To be clear, we can do it on Zoom. We're happy to do it remote if you don't want to fly in.
Yeah, we will fly out. We will use part of the money you pay to fly. That includes our airfare and our hotel room.
Sam's a pro. He'll give you tips that you need.
Yes, I have children.
I might give you more than the tip if you.
Yeah, come on, bro. Just it'll be like a pro wrestling, tag team wrestling match. Well, I'm like, tag man, you're in trouble. Guys, once again, go to Wise Wolf. Go to samtripoli.gold. Join our Wolf Pack. That's right. For as little as $50 a month, you can get precious metals sent right to your house. $50 all the way up, I think, to $10,000. Get it going, rock and rolling. Okay, that's how we do it. hydrogen. We got Rife Technologies. He wants to come back on, explain his machine to us. It just gets you, it balances you out. We'll have him back on. We'll discuss what that is. But check that out. Our good friends at AquaCure Hydrogen Brown Gas. Get your nitrogen now. Get it now. Okay, grab it. I got mine. I got to put it together.
And that was demanding. I like it.
Well, yeah, look at that, dude. Do it now. Okay, then. Then we also got our boy, the people we absolutely love, Harley Ray, your crystals, your sage, your candles, everything you need to get zen as fuck. Look at that. They got, that looks like Fruity Pebbles candles. Come on, dude. Abundance wax melts. Let's go, bro. We need some candles up in this bitch. Let's go. Can't find a better website. My good friend Tim James at Chemical Free Body. I might be getting my own supplements, by the way.
Let's do it.
Let's build our own supplements. Sammy T, Bang Bang Pow. Oh yeah.
It's like 50,000 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah. Let's go, bro. Get it in there. I love the Alpha Energy. I need it daily. Makes me feel better about myself.
Ooh, I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Oh,
Parasite.
get rid of those. I'll fight a parasite right now. Hand-to-hand combat. Thinking about starting judo just to learn how to throw.
That's what you need. Another
Tim
another
James
martial
is
art.
always helping you with your titties. Okay, go click the banner. Tim will help you lose 25 to 50 pounds of fat. And then our new one. Hey, dude, listen to me. Everyone thinks I'm a crazy person. I'm telling you, doing all these podcasts, I'm around this EMF, man. These electrical magnetic fields, it's not good for me, dude. I need to get these bags. I have some of them for you guys in my car. Dude, go check it out. Use the promo code TINFOIL, and you can get a discount on all of you. Look at the grounding bags. Go back to that. Grounding bags. Where is it? Right there. Grounding bags, Faraday bags, mobile foam Faraday bags, deep sleep grounding bags. Let's go, bro. Come on. I need that stuff. I need to get me a deep sleep one. And then finally, that's it. So, and then you can get all the audio, radio, 24-hour radio station, all my audio there. Check out Broken Sim. It is a top 200 comedy podcast. You know how hard that is with no guests?
Now.
Not 160. You know how hard that is? You know how hard that is? Anything else, guys?
Hit that like button, subscribe. Go check out my vlog thing over there. I hit a car on the way to EDC, and it's all on video. Which
You hit a car too?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you didn't even mention that.
Yeah, and it's all in the vlog.
We know about
so
you breaking down, but you
breaking
didn't mention
down,
hitting a
cars. Gay guy comes into my RV to try to test my friend's drugs, so making sure they don't have no fentanyl. If you want to go see that, go to Extreme
That
Marks Spa on
sounds
YouTube.
like a lot.
So you filmed yourself getting your coke?
No, there's some guy was walking around making sure no one had fentanyl in their guy, and my friend had a coke, and I was like, you should get that tested, dog. He's like, good idea. So the guy comes into my RV because you can't do it in the open, and I have it all on camera in my home. He's like,
filming. Did you film the coke being tested?
This is a bad idea, actually.
No,
That's what Sam's
no.
getting
You
at.
just hear him. It's just like background music. Just
You
watch
just
it.
hear him?
Just go watch the. You'll know what it is.
Welcome to Xavier Guerrero gives the state evidence, everybody. His new website.
XG turns state's evidence unwittingly.
XG. I won't XG snitching on himself, everybody.
Accidentally.
It's not mine.
XG accidentally gets all his friends arrested.
All right, guys.
Okay. Twitter, Johnny Woodard, please check me out. We're getting a good group there and all talking, and lots of conspiracy theories getting passed around.
Okay, Johnny.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, enjoy that. Anything else? You for you?
I will enjoy it.
Okay.
Good.
He already went.
Enjoy these highlights.
Guys, ready or what? That light was on when I pulled up. Ready or what?
I'm scared. So what?
So how's it feel to pull your first trailer?
I'm fucking nervous, homie. I'd rather be on stage at the Comedy Store right now, going up after Bill Burr.
What'd you ask him?
I was trying to suck that fool's dick,
For
dog.
what?
Alone,
What the fuck were you doing?
Free ride to EDC.
What'd you ask him?
I just asked him how far the hill is. He said it's 10 miles, and then we can pull over again.
Yeah.
Let it cool down again.
And then go up the
and
other
then go
hill.
up another hill. He
Got
said, just be fine. He said, let it cool down for like 10, 15 minutes. So.
All right, so we pulled off to the side of the road because the Tahoe was overheating a little bit. So we pulled up right before the big hill going up to Victorville. And then we're going to hit it again and see what happens. right, so we just stopped one more time, but I think we got it.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim. Put this in the Alex Jones was right again column. Meth-addicted fish, aggro starlings, caffeinated minnows. Animals are being radically changed by human drugs, according to a study. From brown trout becoming addicted to meth to European perch losing their fear of predators due to depression medication, scientists warn that modern pharmaceuticals and illegal drugs being polluted into the water are becoming a growing threat to wildlife.
Hold on. So there's a predator out there that is depressed?
No. This depression medication, we're all pissing it into the water supply.
Yeah.
And it's causing fish to lose their fear of predators, their natural inborn fear. and they're being snapped up. You know, they're dying more than at a higher rate than they should.
Oh,
because
that's just so crazy.
What is that doing to us?
Yeah, 100%.
What is it doing to us?
Women love bad boys when they're on the pill. When they're off the pill, they'll wake up being like, I don't like this guy. Why am I with this guy?
You hear about that, dude? Yeah, the smells, like the pheromones and things. It's suddenly a turnoff. You hear about that all the time.
I mean, dude, it's like Ola said. There's been a war on women.
Yeah, she was good.
She was good,
drug exposure is causing significant unexpected changes to some animals' behavior and their anatomy. Female starlings dosed with antidepressants such as Prozac at concentrations found in sewage waterways become less attractive to potential mates. That's just what you were talking about, dude. With male birds behaving more aggressively and singing less to entice them to. So basically, this is all population suppression shit, dude, is what we're finding out about these depression drugs. They make people not want to fuck.
Yeah, 100%, Johnny.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, no, it's not wild. It sucks. It's dark arts. Johnny, can we get into this clip that
send it to me,
you put on the internet of you putting out the Queen is still protecting, and then some guy named Colin Hood goes, you're shitting on the Royals and pleading for subscribers. Not a good look. And then somebody goes, shitting on the Royals does not plead for subscribers. Good look. He's English Armenian. What does that matter? Like, what does that matter?
I don't. Here it is right here. It's just a clip from the show where it's from last week where we talked about, King Charles trying to kick Prince Andrew.
Guys, go up. What does he say? Guys, this show's got to
it gets better as well.
Okay.
It gets better every episode.
Johnny Woodard, you're killing it, sir. What about me?
I posted that. He was replying to me. Okay. Where is it? Hold on. I saw that comment. I'm trying to find it.
And then, by the way, that guy Broken's Phil Day just drops N-words with ERs.
I've noticed
memes
that too.
all the time.
Oh, here it is right here. You're shitting on royalty and pleading for subscribers. Not a good look.
I don't even know what that means.
And then you wrote, what? And then everybody's just like, what are you talking about?
This guy
says, this crackhead makes you believe some David Icke shit when you should have been on Ben Carson. Get your levels up, frequency. Please subscribe to my podcast so I shit on people that did better than me. So he's saying that the Royals did better than you, so we should. What is he talking about?
Such a weird dude, bro.
Okay, that guy's. I mean, come on. We're talking about probably he might be mentally ill.
Dude.
We're talking about somebody who might be mentally ill here.
Yeah,
we're making fun of Downs. I thought we didn't do that.
No, he's not down. He's retarded.
So you sent me this, and this kind of went viral. It's everywhere. And if you just saw this one clip, you might think something really terrible happened here. We have a comedian.
Johnny, something terrible did happen.
Well, it wasn't this though. Yeah, it wasn't the guy getting punched in the face. That wasn't terrible.
No, that was a result of it.
Right, but what I'm saying is you might think that was terrible. Until you know the facts. But we're just gonna show it really quickly.
Look at this. This guy doesn't know how to fight. Dude,
no.
Look at this. The guy's winding up and your hands are down.
It was like when he's punching like George Foreman, like throwing the kitchen sink into here. So if you're listening at home, a guy is already on stage at this point attacking a performer with these wild roundhouse punches. Tell that to me. Garbage. Now what were you saying, that my son was going to eat a black man? That he was going to eat cock when he was 3 months old? Garbage.
Yeah, dude.
And this guy could not be more afraid, just cowering in the corner.
Yeah, as he should be.
Tell
you're
me,
talking
he says.
Shit. You're sexualizing.
Tell me
kids.
to my face, right here, right now.
Gee, have I ever done this before?
And he says, "I'm sorry. I beg your pardon." To the people who work there, they're like, "You got to get off stage. Calm down." And he's saying, I'm just a father. And so what we found out, now you might think, okay, this guy was heckling and then this comedian said something to him that set him off, but that's not what happened. I'm trying to find the official clip here. What happened was this fuck was on social media. This is right here. Yeah.
So let me give you a backstory here. Supposedly this guy is like an extreme right or left guy. I don't know what he is.
The guy who went on the stage and did the punching.
No, the guy who's holding the baby. This is what
the guy who did the punching.
Yeah. So what they're saying is he has extreme political views, and this guy's reacting to it. What this guy said is no reaction to a child that's 3 months old.
No,
this is how you get your ass beat.
Let me see what this is translated to. What?
Go down. It shows you.
No, right there. That part. Happiness and pride is what that is.
Yeah.
So he's holding. Is what we're seeing is a picture of a man holding his child, and, and with happiness and pride as the subject. And then wait, hold on.
Yeah, I mean the times I saw it was translated in English.
Hold on. I gotta find the translation. Maybe somebody replied to him. Okay, so and then this comedian guy commented on that post. It's got to be here somewhere. Okay, yeah, here it is. The dad typed in the picture joy and pride, and the comedian replied, nothing and nobody will prevent he, the child, is gay when he grows up, and he gets full of eating black cock, but working class black cock, not a soccer player. Time is wise, and we just have to wait. Basically, he's saying your son's going to grow up to be a black cocksucker.
Yeah, and so you see what he's
saying. A baby,
saying,
an infant.
Working class. So this guy's obviously socialist saying this to a guy who's a conservative.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you guys, like, I don't care what that dad did. That kid, you don't say that to kids.
No.
Okay? Now, if that kid grew up and became a neo-Nazi and you want to say some Nazis, that's different. You don't say that about people's kids and their pictures of their children. Sexualizing kids ain't good.
You know, and this first got passed around as something like, oh, look, another comedian got attacked. And then you realize, wait a minute, there was actually a lot more to the story, and a guy got what was coming, basically. So, yeah, anyway, that's a little lesson to us all, not to rush to judgment when we see something like this. And fuck that guy forever for saying that about a baby.
A baby. Even if you don't like the political, like, dude, it's when Roseanne Barr's trying to be like, we have to, like, protect the gay kids, and then just goes off on Barron Trump being autistic. It's like you show your true colors, man.
Have you seen how tall he is, by the way? That kid's
he's
tall,
a
dude.
But the point is, it's like, again.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hat.